welcome to Scofield Farm. My name is Carice, and today we are going to start some flower seeds. I am very excited. I am going to show you which ones I'm growing from seed. I love flowers so much, and I really am having to use some constraint because, as you can see, I am recovering from shoulder surgery, and I'm going to have to do all of this one-handed, and I'm having to get the help of my family to help take care of the different, they sprout to seedlings to start, and hardening them off and planting. I've got to have a lot of help. I am growing less flowers than last year, but I want to at least grow some. So let's get started. All right, we are going to start with nasturtium, and I'm going to grow two different varieties. This one is called Tip Top Alaska Salmon, and I got this from West Coast Seeds. I actually won some seeds from West Coast Seeds from a giveaway on Instagram. I love nasturtium. I thought this was a very pretty color. It's got a very salmony color to it, so I'm going to do these. I'm also going to grow the Bloody Mary nasturtium. I don't know if you can see that color. It is totally fantastic, beautiful. And these are a little bit bigger seeds. There's some people who think you should soak them or you should kind of rough them up. I'm just gonna do them as is. I've had mixed success with growing nasturtium. I've had all of them germinate sometimes, other times I've had a really rough time. So we'll see how it goes this time. Now, you usually wanna plant a seed twice its width deep, and you see, I can barely move this hand. I'm going to put it in this hand and then try to go this way. That's about all the use I have of my hand on my surgery arm. Unfortunately, I'm left hand dominant, it was my left shoulder. So it makes everything a little bit trickier for me. So I'm just gonna put these in. I'll cover them with seed starter mix as soon as I have the rest of everything else done, since I've gotta be careful with how I use just one hand. Just kind of press them in there. These will be so pretty. Now, nasturtium are actually edible. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the flowers. They're kind of peppery. My girls tried them on a garden tour a couple years ago. A local friend who has a gorgeous terrace garden, and they were surprised by the pepperiness, but they're sure pretty, and they'd be nice to top a cake or put in a salad just because they're so beautiful. But I also just like them in the garden. They're a great trap crop for aphids and I think some other kind of pests. So I like to plant different flowers throughout my garden. The next ones I'm going to do is I'm going to do Sweet William. These are super pretty. I actually got these seeds from my aunt's memorial service. For her memorial service, she was a gardener and just wonderful grower of all things, loved flowers. So we gave different flower pack seeds to everyone who came, and I actually gathered for myself one of each type of seed because I wanted to grow a lot in memory of her. I love flowers just like she did. And so this Sweet William is kind of fun. The flowers are pretty colors, but what I liked about it is my husband's name is William. So I kind of memory my aunt and kind of in honor of my husband that I want to grow these seeds. And I'm just also going to grow 3 of my Roselle hibiscus. I got these from Redwood Seeds. I grow these for tea. It's a Jamaican type of hibiscus. The calic under the flowers can be dried when the flowers are like, they fade. Similar to how a rose hip is on a rose, the calic of these can be made into teas. And my husband grew up on this tea called Rosa de Jamaica in Guatemala. He grew up in Guatemala, and we later discovered that was the Jamaican hibiscus, and so that's why I grow them. I grow them to make a tea for him. They're also very pretty, but it's mostly so we can dry them and gather enough to make him his favorite drink. Oh my gosh, this is very difficult. Okay, we'll try it this way. The control of my hand is not so great when there's tiny little seeds. Okay, these are very small, so they barely need to be covered. Okay. So, I don't know if any of you do gardening by the signs. I don't. But I was just kind of researching it, looking into it, and basically it's based on the moon cycle. There would be different times that you would plant things underground, different times you plant things that are above ground growing, and other times where you would plant like flowers. And so right now happens to be one of the flower times. And I thought, why not try? Maybe it'll make my flowers bloom more or germinate better. It may do nothing at all. It's kind of the timing I was gonna plant some anyway. So we're just giving it a try. I'm gonna jot it down in my garden notes and just see if it made any difference at all. I'm not really sure that it will, but it's fun to try new things in gardening. So I'll probably plant 3 to hopefully have 1 that transplants. And if I transplant 2, I will have to, make it to the stronger one because it takes a lot of room. They become kind of like a small bush tree kind of thing, but they are annual here. We're in zone 9B, but they still die with the frost, and we do get frost. So next, I am going to grow borscht, and I've never started these from seeds. I did get a start of these from a friend of mine locally. She had started them, had extra, and I really liked it. It's great for the pollinators. I put the start I got from her over in my pollinator garden where I have different flowers and stuff interspersed with blueberry bushes right behind our little citrus mandarin grove. So I am gonna do this from seed myself because I was hoping that it would self-sow and come back. A lot of people have that happen, but we have that area so heavily mulched with wood chips, it did not come back for me. So I'm gonna do it now, and maybe this year it will self-seed and come back and I won't have to sow it again next year, but that's okay. I have quite a few seeds here to do it. And again, I like to have a whole area of just flowers and beauty for the pollinators. We do keep bees. We have kept backyard bees for 2 years. We have 2 hives, and so far it looks like they've made it through their 2nd winter, which is wonderful. It's not quite over yet, but we're doing pretty good. They're already having a lot of different things they can get nectar and pollen from. We have a little bit earlier of a springtime here in Northern California, so that's really nice with keeping bees. There's more things for them to go forage for than probably a lot of different areas. So next I'm going to do wild bergamot. This is also called bee balm. Again, a wonderful one for pollinators. I got it from Redwood Seeds, and I grew this last year. It's supposed to be a perennial in my area. However, it did not ever get to flower. So I think a couple might have made it out there. I will honestly know when everything kind of wakes up more, but I thought I'd start it again just in case it didn't, because I would like to have this in my garden. I love bergamot and teas, but also I just love anything that's going to help encourage the local pollinators, the native pollinators, butterflies, bees, hoverflies, all the different things to hang around my property and my garden. Oh no, these are way too many. These are so small. Oh my, this is quite difficult with not really having full mobility. But I want to show you that you don't have to stop gardening just because you have, some kind of physical issue. Often you're going to need more help and more support. I definitely have needed more help and more support, but there are ways to be able to grow things you love, and maybe in more moderation than in the past, or what we really hope to do, but to be able to still grow something. It's worth it to grow something, even if you need to get help from somebody or extra support to do it. Next, I'm going to do purple carpet alyssum, or it's called royal carpet alyssum. I have this all through my garden. I love alyssum, and I have it over into my pollinator sections. I would like to put some of this and also some candy tuft underneath some of my fruit trees as kind of a ground cover. I was thinking that would be really nice to add. We have fruit trees kind of permaculture interspersed in our landscaping, and so I'm wanting to bring more pollinators to them, and I want to plant more flowers, especially ones like alyssum that bloom a year round for us. That way the pollinators are already ready when things like apricots or peaches bloom in the early spring. Some of these you actually only surface sow because they're so tiny, and then you just kind of spritz them in. It is February, late February here. I had my son direct sow some black hollyhock seeds I got from one of my aunts. I'm so excited. She gave them to me as a gift after my surgery, some seeds. And I have quite a few different hollyhock colors out in my pollinator garden. So adding black will be very stunning. He also direct sowed some sweet pea flowers. I've never grown sweet peas as the flower, and he actually he direct sowed an entire pack of them. That's not entirely what I meant, but he did it all along this chain link fence that's by the corner of my pollinator garden and my blueberries. So hopefully some come up because it would be really pretty for them to naturally trellis up that fence and add kind of a backdrop to the rest of our flowers in our blueberry area. He also directs, so let's see, I think he did some showy milkweed in a pot out front. We did have a monarch in our vegetable garden last year that I saw. It may have been in my pollinator garden as well. I didn't notice though, but I would like to encourage more monarchs to come. They do come down the California coast in their migration pattern. So hopefully growing some milkweed will have them be welcome to our garden. Also, we already have out in the garden, we have calendula that overwinters here. It actually blooms in the winter as well. I also mentioned we had alyssum, both the white alyssum and the royal carpet alyssum. Our daffodils are already coming up. Bulb-wise, we have irises, which are actually already blooming as well. Daffodils, we have canna lilies that are just starting to have their greens poke up. We have calla lilies that I feel like are planted in the wrong place and we need to transplant them. This year we planted gladiolas. We separated and extended our irises this year as well. So we've got a lot of different types of flowers already out there, whether they're perennial bulbs or they are annuals that just don't die back in our area. We also have Shasta daisies that started blooming that we planted last year. Some of those have lived over the winter. I'm hoping that the red corn poppies that we grew last year self-seeded because I really want to have those back, and I haven't started any this year, but my California poppies always self-seed in my garden, my vegetable garden, and I had my red corn poppies out in the front of the house by where the daffodils are. So we will see if they did. If they didn't, we will have a break this year from them and redo them next year. But I was hoping that would kind of be something that sustained itself and I wouldn't have to plant every year. Okay, next I'm gonna do the candy tuft. Candy tuft and sweet alyssum to me look kind of similar. Candy tuft has a little bit more groupings of flowers, but they are low-lying kind of ground cover-like, a lot like the alyssum. So I'm gonna do these. They were a pinker color and I had them by some blueberries. I tried to grow the candy tuft under my weeping plum trees last year and I thought that would be a really pretty ground cover kind of by the front of our house under those weeping Santa Rosa plums. I'd love to have something blooming on every part of my property, every season of the year. We have 3.5 acres up here in Northern California. So that's kind of a goal. When we bought this place almost 5 years ago, it'll be 5 years ago in May, it was pretty much a blank canvas. They did not have anything blooming anywhere. I'm trying to think what they even had. They had a peach tree and a pear tree that we thought were dead, that were actually cut way back and they came back. They had a cherry plum tree that looked dead, that actually has come back, but they didn't have like flowers anywhere, no perennials, no bulbs. So we've tried to slowly build that up because we love flowers. Oh, and my peonies are starting to come, just having the greenery come up from them. We have camellias blooming out front as well. We just have so many things starting to come alive and it makes me really excited. Okay, next, so candy tuft, that's hoping to be like a ground cover similar to the alyssum. I grew straw flower last year for the first year. And it looks like they might even self-sow because I let them just stay out there after they died back. But I really like them. They were pretty in little bouquets that we made to bring inside. My daughter, she would cut really pretty bouquets from the pollinator garden and she'd bring the straw flower in. So I wanted to make sure we had some out there, even if the other ones don't actually self-sow like I think they're going to. So we're going to just start a couple here, see how they do. So next we're going to go to cosmos. I grow 2 types of cosmos. I grow one called Snow Puff Cosmos, and it is so beautiful. It's got this really pretty pinkish white flower on it that is a little puffy. And then I also grow the Early Sensation, and it's a nice kind of flat pink cosmos. This one was from my aunt's memorial as well. I like them both. I like to have different types of colors, and I like to interplant flowers with vegetables and herbs. And I feel like it's a great method of pest prevention because, you know, and bringing all those pollinators in to pollinate different vegetables. So that's one thing that I like to do. Do you grow cosmos? Cosmos also, they can self-seed and come back every year, but because we mulch our veggie garden with wood chips as well, I actually haven't had volunteer cosmos yet. So some people might, but we have only had the ones that we have planted each year so far. Watch I say that, and then we're gonna end up with volunteers. But it hasn't happened yet, so I kind of think that it's probably not gonna happen just because we even remulch every year. We also put another layer of really good soil that we got from a local company. We put it down on all of our beds because we do horticulture method on a lot of our raised beds. And so the soil level ends up sinking. It's a great way to save money and not have to invest in a ton of soil up front. Horticulture, you put down like logs or branches on bottom. You might put like unfinished compost or grass clippings or the bedding from a chicken coop. And the top couple, like 3 or 4 inches, then you'll do good soil there. And then you'll do like a mulch on top. But as those branches break down, it will actually sink, and then you're gonna have to add more soil in the future. It's worked great for us. Everything we've grown in them has been very fruitful and happy, but we do have to refill our beds more often because of that. And I feel like it doesn't necessarily save money as much as it delays spending the money, but we've liked it. Okay, the next one we're going to do, so we have our cosmos done, we're gonna do baby's breath. I am not a huge fan of baby's breath in like a bouquet from the florist or grocery store, but I loved baby's breath in my garden. It had this wispy, I don't know, like magical look to it. And then we would clip some and put them in our bouquets inside, which is kind of hilarious because I don't like them in bouquets, you know, with roses and stuff, but with all the different garden flowers, I felt like they fit a lot more appropriately, a lot nicer. So I am growing baby's breath, ironically, even though it wasn't one of my favorite flowers. But now I like it more because I grow it. Okay, so we have that whole tree done. All we have that we're gonna do left are the ones I decided to do in cups, and I'll tell you why. There's different reasons why I decided to do them in cups. One reason is that this tray does not quite fill the entire bottom watering tray. So as you can see, I got this tray. These are the kind that Charles Dowding uses. They're really small, like 1 by 1 inch kind of cells. They're cool because you can put your finger in the bottom to push things up really easily. You don't have to pry stuff out. However, they don't fill the entire standard bottom watering tray. So that's one reason why I like to put cups in as well. That way I can maximize using my heat mat for the things that need heat and light. But also, I have one type of flower I'm gonna grow, which is called phlox. And I wrote on the cup, it needs dark to germinate. So this one will be put aside by itself, not with other types of flowers that need light, so this one can germinate in the dark. And that's another reason why I decided to do some in cups and not in the general tray. Now I love to grow calendula. I told you I already have calendula in my garden. I've been slowly drying the blossoms so that I can make a balm with our beeswax from our honeybees, and then also with dried calendula. I want to infuse an oil with it and make a really nice balm for sensitive skin. I have a lot of skin issues. I have a couple of my kids that get really severe poison oak, and I thought if I made that with the beeswax from our bees, that it would be soothing and it would be something that was like completely from what we grow and raise. And I thought that'd be kind of cool, right? So that's one of my goals. I have a big jar of them. I have not started infusing the oil with them yet. I want to gather a few more and just make a really good sized batch. I also been setting aside beeswax and stuff when we render honey. So it's kind of an exciting thing. Like that's part of our homesteading stuff. You know, I love the idea of being able to grow and raise as many different parts of things that we use as we can. This last fall, we had our first successful harvest of growing our own sponges, and I will link to that video for you because it was one of the coolest things, you guys. I grew loofah and I tried them 2 years. The first year they were beautiful vines over an arched trellis. They were flowers, but they never got to actually be mature fruit. But the second year, we got tons of fruit hanging, and then we had an early frost and had to harvest them green. I looked up how to process them green. I showed on my video how I did that, and we use those sponges in our shower, doing our dishes. They're really great, and so I'm gonna grow those again. But that's the same kind of idea of making a calendula balm with our own beeswax, our own flowers, you know. infused in oil, and it's really rewarding. I know a lot of different gardeners and homesteaders, we feel the same way. It's really rewarding to be able to say, hey, I grew that, I raised that, I made that. It's really fun. Okay, so I already grow yellow pom-pom calendula in my garden. I'm gonna plant some more of those. Strawberry blonde is a great one. I will show you the pack, but also, I don't know how much it's gonna show up. I'll try to show you what they look like. This is a hilarious one. This one is called Pink Surprise. I chuckle about it. I've grown a couple of years. I always say the surprise is that they're not pink at all. They're orange. They're bright orange. So why are they called Pink Surprise? I have no idea. And then I'm doing a new one this year called Snow Princess, and it looks like a very light yellow, maybe almost white. And I like that. It's fun. Even when I dry them and I have them in the jar and I have all the different colors, like a pinkish, yellow, white, orange. Color makes me happy. Color makes me happy. So we're gonna do all of these. I'm gonna do probably about 5 or 6 in each cup. Last year I had a problem with germination. They just did not do well for me at all. I'm doing a mix of saved seeds and seeds from seed companies. But the ones I had in the garden, those self-sowed great, and I actually ended up just transplanting them all over. This year I'm gonna try them from seed again. I have grown them from seed very successfully in the past. Last year was just kind of weird, so we're trying it again. 4 kinds. As I said, I love variety, I love color, and I love calendula. We also harvest calendula to make tea with. I love to grow my own herbal teas. Those are quite fun for me. Okay, Pink Surprise we'll do next. I did not save seeds from these. These are just the original seeds I got from Baker's Creek. I think I'm doing a pretty great job for having to kind of do this one-handed. I'm getting a hang of it and how to pour the seeds into my hand that I can't really move very well. And I feel like this is going a lot better than expected. You know, I'd love for you guys to put down in the comments what is one of your favorite or a couple of your favorite types of flowers to include in your garden. Now they could be flowers for bouquets, they could be perennials or bulbs, they could be medicinal or herbs that happen to flower. I want to hear it because sometimes I get a new idea from you guys of something that I decide to include in my garden the next year. Redwood Seeds is a seed company local to us in Shasta County, Northern California. I'm not affiliate. I would love to get an affiliate code and give you guys a discount someday, but I'm not an affiliate. I don't get anything for promoting them except to say that I love buying local when I can, and they have great germination rate for me. I've done flowers, veggies, herbs, all sorts of things, and I've been very satisfied with their seeds. In fact, some of my favorite lettuces, most of my favorite lettuces I got from them. And I'm a huge fan of growing lettuce in my garden. Next, I'm going to do a flowering herb. It's actually chamomile. And so chamomile also self-sows, but you know, I will probably have some come up, but I like to put it in different places under all different parts of the property. I think it's whimsical looking. I like how it attracts a lot of beneficial insects, but I also love to gather a lot of this for tea. And I drink a lot of herbal teas and I grow a lot of my teas. Right now, I'm basically only drinking teas that I grow. Chamomile is a great one. It's great for just a calming effect and for sleep. So I'm just gonna surface sow a little bit of this that I will spritz in. Oh my goodness, I probably did like 20 or 30 seeds accidentally there. I had to ask for help for opening these teeny tiny seed packets that I got from Seed Wish Wednesday on Instagram. Dear gal, her name is at a Rose Garden. She sent me these in exchange, I think it was for sunflowers, but I've never grown dahlia from seed. I've only grown dahlia from tubers, which I just leave out there. I had like 5 different tubers I planted years ago. My chickens destroyed them and only 1 tuber remains that comes back with flowers every year. So if I can get these to grow, I can expand my dahlia game in my garden. Okay, I have never done this from seed, so this is brand new for me. And then she also sent me some white celosia, and I've never grown celosa at all, so that's another one that's new to me. I'm gonna try. I read that it's supposed to be like 8 to 10 weeks before last frost date. We are definitely not 8 to 10 weeks at this point. We are much closer, but I thought better try it late than never. And if it doesn't work, I have enough seeds here that I can try it again a different year. So I'm just gonna do like maybe 5 little seeds in this cup and see if any of them take. So fun to have happy mail of seeds. And that's a cool thing about the Instagram community is things like the Seed Wish Wednesday where you can get happy mail and you can try new things. I've actually found a lot of favorite varieties of stuff that I later bought more seeds of because I tried them from this really cool program that goes on. So we're gonna do the phlox, which needs darkness to germinate. And I'm going to also do Mexican sunflower, which I grew last year for the first time. And I saved my own seeds. I don't have seeds except my saved seeds, so that's fun. A friend of mine, we traded, I think I traded a type of tomato, blue cream cherry tomato, and I traded her that for a Mexican sunflower. And I felt like I got a good end of the trade. They were huge and beautiful, bloomed all season long, and I actually think they might self-sow. But again, I'd like to have it no matter what. So I'm gonna plant even if it does self-sow itself. And the last thing we've got to put in is the phlox, which will not go under our lights or on our heat at all. So phlox, I actually saw these beautiful flowers by my grandma's driveway that were a ground cover, and I used the Google photo lens thing where you can look it up to see what it is, and it was phlox. And I realized I actually had a pack of phlox seed here. So hers were pink, these are purple, but I think they'll be great. Okay. I'll put a little bit of soil on them since they need dark to germinate. The last thing I'm gonna do for these is I'm going to actually sprinkle them with some vermiculite. It's a little coarser than I like, but that's what they had when I bought it at the grocery store. I'm gonna sprinkle with vermiculite to help with damping off. It gets them light, but keeps the moisture in. And then I'm going to spritz them with a water bottle. And then I'm gonna put a dome lid on top. Sprinkle these on. Growing flowers not only feeds the soul and helps the pollinators, but it actually makes your veggie garden a lot more fruitful. And that's one of the things I just love about it as well. So yay for flowers. Also, I forgot to say that we are going to grow a lot of zinnias, marigolds, and sunflowers, and those will be direct sowed straight into the garden when the risk of frost has passed. We had a whole sunflower forest last year of volunteer sunflowers, and then we also planted them all the way around the perimeter of our garden fence, and then we also had volunteers in the garden beds. Another thing I like to do is to direct sow zinnia and marigolds in one little section of the garden, then separate them out to different places I want them once they've germinated. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you keep coming back. And if you enjoy garden content, homesteading content, that you hit the subscribe button